Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Yarnciful vlog. My name is Carrie, also known as Yarnciful. You can find me on Ravelry, Facebook and Twitter as Yarnciful, and show notes for the vlog will be at yarnciful.co.uk. There's also a Ravelry group now for the vlog, so if you'd like to come and join and have a bit of a chat with us, that would be lovely. So welcome to all returning viewers and anybody who's just joining me today. Thank you very much for taking time to spend with me. So it's probably not going to be as long today. I don't have as much to show you, mainly because casting off Morticia took a long time. Anybody who was here last week will know that I was aiming to finish Morticia this week, so I shall show you that in a little while. So yes, only work in progress that I've really touched this week to speak of is the Susie hoodie by, let me just double check, Mandy Moore. Dear me. If you watched last week you will know that I had already restarted Susie. It was something that I started a while ago and didn't like the fit of it, so ripped it all back, started again. So I'd done a little bit, I'd only cast on and done a few rows. I've started again. This is the book that it's from, and let me show you a picture of the hoodie itself and then I will explain why. There we go. Yeah, it's the Susie hoodie. It's lovely. Some bias shaping and some cabling up the sides over the top of the hood and on the ends of the sleeves. So I got so far in, and the cabling that runs up either side, the chart is the same for both sides. So any crosses that go left over right do so on both sides. The OCD in me couldn't cope with it. I kept looking at it. I'd done a little bit, like I say, so I've done one of the repeats, and I decided that I wanted to do it so that it was symmetrical because it meets in the middle of the hood anyway. So there's no reason why I couldn't change it. So yeah, it's now I've got the crosses going left to right on one side and right to left on the other. It's just me. It's just me. It was perfectly fine the way it was, and I'm pretty sure that nobody else would ever have noticed that the cable was the same and not symmetrical. So yes, I now have this much, which is probably about the same as I had last week, to be honest with you. I decided to do it last night and I did a little bit. I don't think you'll even be able to see yet, but yeah, the crosses are going that way on that side and then they're going that way on the other, just so that when it meets, they're mirror images of each other. So yes, it's the last time I'm casting this on, full stop. This is on 4.5mm Knit Pro Symphony interchangeables. You do swap to, I think it's a 5mm once you finish this little garter stitch bit at the bottom, and then it goes into stockinette stitch. The yarn that I am knitting it with, I'll show you a fresh book so it's got the label. Just in case you weren't here, Hayfield Bonus Aram. It's only 20% wool, but it's a lovely, lovely colour. And it's in like a heathery colourway. The shade is 0871. So yes, not a huge amount of progress. The only other thing that I've really picked up this week besides was, if I can get it, did a few more triangles for my Lecce blanket. It's a crocheted blanket that is by Amanda Perkins. I'll put all of the links to the patterns on Ravelry in the show notes, so if you are interested you can go and check it out on there. But yeah, that's it for works in progress. Do have a finished object, finally. Morticia. Oh my god, it took so long to cast off. your picot edging. Never done a picot edging in lace before, and it was just, there were so many stitches in the shawl by the end because I'd got through the repeat a second time, and yeah, oh my goodness, but seriously lots and lots of stitches to cast off. But find her middle. There she is. I don't know if you can even see all of her. Let me try and pull it back a little bit. So pleased. She is absolutely gorgeous. It's such a beautiful, beautiful pattern. It's Morticia by Boonets. Link will be in the show notes. Blocking was interesting. Decided to do it in our back bedroom and laid all of my blocking mats out and realised pretty much straight away that I was going to have to pin into the carpet as well. The room's not huge, and actually ended up, I didn't have any of it on the blocking mats at all. It was just pinned to the carpet, and it actually went quite a ways under the bed in there as well by the time I'd stretched out all of the points on it. So yeah, it was a mammoth task, casting off and blocking, mammoth. But it is absolutely gorgeous pattern. I do love it. I'm going to wear it so much. I know I am. I've already had my mother eyeing it up, but this one's mine. Definitely mine. So yeah, Morticia is off the needles, blocked and done. Yay. Absolutely so pleased, and I'm very proud of myself for knitting it. Well, more than anything else, I'm very proud of myself for winning my game of yarn chicken, because I don't know if any of you were here and saw, but I was very dubious as to whether I was going to have enough yarn to finish off, or whether I was going to have to actually go and rip back one of my repeats of Chart C. And that's what I had left. It was really like, if you just seen the panic on me when I got halfway through casting off, and it was like, I don't know how tight the middle of that ball is. So yeah, and it is, there's not a huge amount there, it's very squishy. So yes, that was the sum total of the remainder of my yarn, which was fibre space gleam lace in peacock, for anybody who's interested in getting some, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so going to buy more fibre space. I have been eyeing some up this week, but it's going to have to wait a little while, I think. So Morticia, yes, highly recommend it as a knit. It was really nice to knit. Just be prepared for the epic nature of the cast off if you decide to go with the points and the picot edging, because I know, having a look at other people's project pages on Ravelry, not everybody has done the picot edging, but that's kind of, it's the points and the picot that really made me fall in love with it, so I decided to stick with them. And that's why I was more willing to, if I had to rip back, I was more willing to rip back a repeat of Chart C than I was to go without the picot and the points. So yes, lovely. And yeah, that's basically all I've done this week. Morticia was a big chunk of it, and then recasting that on again, which is just for a third time, was actually pretty soul destroying, to be honest. I was about ready to go, do you know what, I'm going to put this away for a few months and worry about it. I don't need it till next winter anyway, so I'm just going to leave it, but I'll stick with it. It's not going to be my main project, but it's quite good for sitting in front of the telly with my other half and doing, because most of it is just stockinette stitch. There's only the cables at either end on the right side rows. So yeah, I'd love to know if anybody else is knitting on anything at the moment in particular. Let me know either in the comments below, or if you want to go over to the Ravelry group. I think I've actually started a thread in the Ravelry group, because now it's November, I suddenly realised how close it's getting to Christmas, and that if I'm going to get any Christmas knitting done, I really need to get my act together. I don't think it's going to be much this year. I think I'm mainly going to be doing like little stuffies and stuff for people, because last year I did sort of hats and mittens and scarves and stuff, and it did get a little bit much. So yeah, little stuffies. So yeah, pop along if you've got planned Christmas projects. Pop along and put in the thread what you're planning on doing, and then when they're done, I'd love to see some pictures of them, see how everybody else has done, and what lovely things people are getting for Christmas off you. So that'd be brilliant. So stash. I really have to stop ordering yarn now. I did mention last week Zanzibar, the Zanzibar scarf, which I'm feeling very excited about, which I haven't grabbed the pattern for. Bear with me, I will be back in a second. Sorry about that. Moron. So actually, before I go on to Zanzibar, I just went in my file to get Zanzibar out, and just on the subject of Christmas knitting, just for anybody who's looking for something a little bit unusual, I did these last year for my best friend. Comic by Tanya Oswald. Some, I don't suppose you can see them very clearly on here, I'll put links. There's some little crochet fingerless gloves. Now I don't, obviously I gave the gloves away, but I did keep, this was my test piece for them. And your thumb goes through the crocheted cable. It's really interesting to make, and really interesting fingerless gloves. So yeah, if you want any suggestions for anything a little bit unusual for Christmas, that's a really good one. Comet, Tanya Oswald. So yeah, just a quick suggestion. I just spotted it while I was in my file and thought I might mention it. And the other thing that I am going to be doing for Christmas, this is my biggest one for Christmas this year, is the handbrake cowl for my husband. This is my Kay and Dan at the Bakery Bears, and all of the proceeds from buying the pattern are going to cancer research. So yeah, once again, you could make it for somebody and know that you've done some good by donating some money, buying it. So yeah, haven't got the yarn sorted yet. I might actually, I've got yarn left over from knitting his jumper, so I might use that. I will have to do a gauge swatch and see what it's like. But yeah, that's my first one on my Christmas list. So yes, Zanzibar. Oh God, I'm so in love with this stuff. Bought the pattern this week because I think I'd just seen it last week when I was talking to you. So it's by Kieran Foley at the Knit Lab. Let's find, that's the one I was going to show you. How amazing is that? I mean, really, absolutely gorgeous. Now, Miss Foley recommends 2 yarns. Now he has used the, you'll have to excuse my pronunciations of stuff, Shopple Wool Zorbable in, it's the Crazy yarn that he's used, which is like a barber pole version, but I actually decided to just go for the normal Zorbable, which is it's a single, it's just the one colour in each section. It's quite long repeats, colour repeats, which I think the Crazy is as well. I don't know, I've not actually seen the Crazy in person. It can be quite difficult to tell from photographs. So I ordered that this week from Love Knitting, and there it is. I must admit, it's not as bright as it looked on photographs. I don't know whether it's just that it's photographed brighter than it is, or whether I've just got one that happens to be a little bit darker. Let me tell you what the content is. It's 100 grams, 420 metre ball, 75% superwash, 25% nylon. Recommends 2 to 3 millimetre, but the pattern is knit up on a 3.2. and I'm sure the Zorbable was the same recommended, so I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. I will do a test swatch just to make sure. And then it recommends any, well, it calls for 16 10-metre lengths of similar weight yarn in different colours, but on the project pages somebody has knit one where she's used a Zorbable and then a solid colour as well. And I quite liked the look of that. I thought that it made the wonderfulness of the Zorbable stand out a little bit more. So I ordered, because I was expecting this to be brighter, so against the purple, the yellow and the green and the turquoise looked absolutely uber. It's not quite what I was expecting, so we will see. I do still like all the colours together, and I mean, it's got so many colours in it, I don't think that it's going to be a big deal that you stick some purple in there as well. Oh, by the way, this is, I wrote it down so as it would be easier, but let me find a piece of paper. The Zorbable colourway, did I write it down? Yes, 1564. I think it's called Frisch or something like that. They are out of stock in this colourway on Love Knitting now, but they did have it in some of the other shops that I was looking at. But I had the 10% off that you get on an invoice from Love Knitting, so I decided to go with them. And this to go with it is Shopple Wool again, Admiral, 420 metres again, 100 grams, 75% superwash, 25% nylon, so it's the same composition. It's basically the same yarn. It's a little bit fluffier, but it should knit up fine with that one. And the colour of this, now then, here we go, Zvetcht, something like that. I'm sure somebody will tell me if I'm pronouncing that completely wrong, but I did look it up, and it is a fruiting tree from the plum family, and they are quite sort of plummy looking. They are more purpley, but they are quite plummy looking little fruits, which I'm now very intrigued by. So yes, got that to go with it. So that is getting cast on this evening, probably. Do a gauge swatch and get it on my needles because I'm quite excited about it. I did say I was going to wait till after Christmas, didn't I? I couldn't. I really couldn't. I just couldn't wait that long. So yeah, awesome. And the other yarn that I ordered, ready for my next boo knits. This is Drops Lace. Another skate is still on sale, so I think it's £2 off at the moment. So I always forget it's in the middle. 100 grams, 800 metres, 875 yards, 70% alpaca, 30% silk. And this is in the ice blue colourway. And I bought that to cast on the Snow Angel by Boo Knits. I've not bought the pattern yet. I'm going to get this, you can either buy your patterns individually, or if you buy the books, there's normally, I think there's 3 patterns that you can buy separately, and then there's 2 which are exclusive to the book, and it's the In Love collection, I think, unless anybody wants to correct me. I will put links to it, but yeah, it's lovely. It's quite a, it's more of a, regimented's the wrong word. I was thinking regimented repeat, but it's much more in sections. It reminds me of, have you ever seen those fans, the wooden ones, where it's like fretwork and you've got they're all like repeats of each other and they've just got the little cutouts on them, but other than that they're just the wood. I've not seen, I'm sure you can probably get them that are painted, but they're normally not painted, they're just sort of a plain wooden colour. It reminds me of one of those, and I know that being Snow Angel, it's probably really intended to be knit in white, but I'm way too mucky for white. I really am. So yeah, I grabbed that one. I think that was it for yarn enhancements. And the reason why I haven't actually, because I haven't even cast on Even Star yet, is that I realised that between Even Star and Snow Angel, and I also want to wind up the purpley one that I bought last week, which I think is still here. Yeah, also want to wind up that one. So there's one of each of these, 2 of the black for Even Star. That, to ask my husband to sit there with his, bless him, arthritic hands and carpal tunnel syndrome and hold onto these while I wound 2,400 metres worth of yarn was just ridiculously unfair. So I very cheekily asked if I could have an early Christmas present, and I've ordered a ball winder and a Swift. So I've been putting off starting them because there's no point in hand winding the balls when I've got those turning up hopefully next week. I've only ordered them from Amazon, and they're not expensive versions of, because I don't suppose I'm going to use them that much. I mean, most yarn shops, our local yarn shop doesn't have a Swift and winder that you can use, but I know that Stash in Chester, I'm pretty sure they do. But I didn't have time when I was there last to ask about it. It was just a quick dive in, grab what I needed and get out sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully that will be arriving this week, and then I can get, because I'm absolutely dying to get stuck into Even Star. I really am. I'm quite excited about it. It's all exciting knitting at the moment. There's nothing sort of, oh, I suppose other than maybe the Susie hoodie that's a little bit like me, but that's only because I'm still in that cast on stage. Once I get past that and I'm into just the stockinette and cabling, then it'll be nice to see it grow. Oh, the other exciting thing this week as well, because I've never been asked to knit something for somebody before, is my mum's best friend has asked if I could knit a little poncho for a 1-year-old for their birthday. So she's going to get the yarn and the pattern, and I was so flattered that somebody thought my knitting was nice enough and trusts me enough to ask me to knit something for an important birthday, like a first birthday. So yes, that's really nice. So I shall let you know what I will be making and what yarn she gets once she gets it. I'm not sure when it is. It's obviously not till next year now, and I did say give me, you know, as much notice as you can, because I don't know what pattern she's going to choose and that. But yeah, I'm quite excited and quite flattered about that. It's nice to know that people appreciate what you do. So yeah, the other thing that arrived, which I talked about last week, was my bargain book. Stittionary 5, the lace one. It's the Vogue Knitting Stittionary. There's a few of them. If you were here, you'll have heard me talk about them, just in case not. There's knit and purl, there's colourwork cables, there's a crochet one, there's edgings, and there's the lace one. The lace one on eBay, on Amazon, you see it priced between sort of 75 and 125 or more pounds, and I wouldn't have paid that, and I actually won this one for £9.26. So I'll just give you a very quick sort of nosy through it. I hope you can see that. But there's 100, I think there's about 120. Oh, I think there's more than that, I think. Well, there's over 158 lace stitch patterns in it. God, those socks were nice. Don't know if you caught those. They're really, really good. They are exactly what they say they are. They're just books of stitch patterns, and like in the colour work, there's just little colour work charts. There's no real sort of how to knit in them. They're literally just stittionaries. But yeah, I've been after it for so long. I'm so pleased with it, and I've been merrily going through it, and I might do some little swatches from it to see what stitches I like to knit up. And I've got a little book, I'll bring it up at some time, that when I see a stitch on YouTube or Ravelry or any other site that I quite like, then I will knit up a little swatch of it and pop it into this little book with a copy of the pattern, just for future reference. So just not just sort of any old stitch, but just things that I think that I might use at some point in the future. So yeah, it's handy, and it's quite nice to do if anybody else has never thought of doing something like that. I suppose it's a little bit like art journaling for knitters. You can put other stuff in there, you can stick inspiration in and things like that if you want to sort of start designing for yourself. Not that I do a huge amount of designing, and it is just for myself when I do. But yeah, it's quite nice. I think that comes from, because my degree was in illustration and we were encouraged to keep sort of sketchbooks and art journals, so I think that it comes from that. But it's nice to do, and it's nice to keep a record of these things, and even colours and things. I mean, I know that my books end up with things like autumnal leaves stuck in them, or little paintings of flowers and things like that. So yeah, it's nice to do, and it's nice to look back on them, and sometimes you'll like something at the time but not really know what you would take from that and put towards a project, but you've got it there then, and you might be flicking through it at some point and think, oh, that'd be really good if I used that as inspiration for this, for such and such a person, or whatever. So yeah, art journaling for knitters. Excellent fun. I'm trying to think what else has happened this week. Just be making a noise. Chloe, the Chihuahua, my little baby, she's been a little bit poorly this week, and she's not up here. She seems to be eating okay, but then she's been poorly sick a couple of times, and not quite sure why. She's not eaten anything that she shouldn't have, or I don't know, maybe it's just the change in the weather or something. I mean, she seems fine, she's not got a temperature, she's running around, she's causing havoc, she's telling me off for things all the time. Heaven forbid we cuddle, because that means that neither one of us is paying undivided attention to her, so she likes to get straight in between the middle of us, little swine. But yeah, so hopefully she's feeling a little bit better soon, but she's milking it a little bit, I think. Definitely. I know there was one day, a few weeks ago now, where she decided that she wasn't feeling well and she wasn't going to eat. So it's like, oh, I tried her with this treat and tried her with that treat, and she'd been burying them in her beds and things, and tried her with these little sort of dried meat drumstick things that she really likes and all sorts. And then I took her for a walk, because sometimes I think going out and having a walk will encourage her to eat. She gets in and she's feeling a little bit hungry, or at least I can get her in through the door, give her a treat, and she'll take the treat, because automatically, I'm a good girl, I'll have my treat. So yeah, I took her for a walk, and she came in and she was still a little bit mopey and she wouldn't eat anything. So I thought, I'll give her a bath, because she loves having a bath and a blow dry. So I gave her a bath and blow dried her, and she sat there all like, yeah, just dry me off, love me. Did that, opened the bathroom door, and she shot through. I didn't really think about it. Literally, by the time I'd sort of picked her towel up off the floor, put the hairdryer away, and got through to the living room, she'd eaten all of the treats that I'd been giving her. She'd eaten her wet dog food from the morning that we'd put down that she'd not eaten. We'd tried her with biscuits at the lunchtime, full meal's worth, which she'd gone through, and she was sat there with a drumstick in her mouth and a tummy. I mean, I know I'm not one to talk, but she was seriously bloated, and it was just like, you little sod. So yeah, she was, I don't know whether it was a ploy or what, but yeah, so now I'm a little bit, I'll give her something to try. If she doesn't eat it, I'll take it back off her and try her with something else, because I've learnt my lesson with it. So yeah, hopefully feeling better soon, bless her. But I don't think I've done anything else. Went to my mum's, had a little bit of nose around town shopping. There's not a huge number of shops in the town centre. It's not a very big town, or the town centre's not very big anyway. I'm quite lucky, we live just along the road from a little shopping complex, and it's got a cinema and some department stores and some restaurants and a bowling alley and things like that. Really lucky. I mean, it's literally just like 3 or 4 minutes walk. Excuse me. But in the town centre itself, there's not a huge number of shops. It's a little bit, there's a lot of shops that have closed down, I suppose, with economic climate and that. But yeah, I had a nose around, had a couple of coffees with my mum, had a nose in the yarn shop, didn't buy anything. Well, our local yarn shop's a little bit strange because they've actually got two. They've got a little shop which is close to the town centre, which is their nicer wool sort of thing, and then they've got a stall in the market which is, you do still get some nice wool in there, and that's where all of the bargain bins are, so I always make sure to go there as well as the main one. But yeah, it's mainly acrylics. They do a lot of James C. Brett yarns, although I do like James C. Brett Marble Chunky. I do really like it. It's acrylic, and I mean, it's not the nicest feeling yarn, but to look at, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I wish they would do the same thing in a wool content, because it is really, really lovely. But yeah, I had a nose around there. Really can't buy any more yarn for the next few weeks, especially because I want to get that Boo Knits book as well. So yeah, I'd love to know what you've been buying. Tell me a little bit about your local yarn shops and what they're like, and what sort of things you can get there, and what you have to resort to the internet for. Yeah, I'd be really interested to know what it's like by you. And yeah, we've got a good one in Chester though. That's really good. That's only, I think that's about 12 miles away. So it's not too bad, but where it is, it's not in the city centre in Chester, it's out a little bit. So if you're not driving, it's a bit of a pain in the backside to get to, especially if you decide to walk it. I mean, it's not hugely far, but it's not the nicest walk on the planet. You go past the race course, which is pretty nice, and then you're into sort of retail and semi-industrial, I think. And then it's sort of out the back of that as well, so yeah, it's not like a lovely stroll or anything, but yeah, it's quite a good shop if you can get there. So yes, I think that is it really. Yeah, I haven't done any sewing or spinning this week, so, but lots of planned things. I'm not going to know where I am next week. You'll see me next week and I'll be tangled up in about 8 different yarns, but I should be able to show you. I know what else I wanted to talk about. Sorry, camera cut out. What I've been watching this week. So it was lovely to see Danny of Little Bobbins Knits doing an episode. I know that she's moved recently, so her episodes have been a little bit more sporadic, which is fine. And to be honest, I do like regular episodes, but it does mean when one goes up I'm that little bit more excited about it. So yeah, watch Danny. Oh, and Danny, if you do see this, absolutely loved your new crafting space. What a lovely space to spend time and work in. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm so jealous of that jay in your back garden. He's stunning. I mean, we only get, I'm trying to see if there's any birds around at the moment in the bank. I don't think there is. There's a little robin been knocking about lately, but other than that, it's the usual sort of starlings and things like that we have around here. I've not seen a jay anywhere. Absolutely beautiful, isn't he? So yeah, lovely to see Danny back. Also really enjoyed the Halloween episode of Come Knit With Us. Hello to Sam and Kim and Liz again. Liz, your mortician, now it's blocked out, is absolutely gorgeous. I'm quite jealous of it in the black. I'm now thinking that somewhere down the line in my queue I might add another morticia in black. Especially I saw somebody had done one on Ravelry. I don't know whether it was Morticia or whether it was the Voodoo Shawl by Boo Knits. But they'd use little seed beads that are glow in the dark. Oh, I'm a sucker for glow in the dark. So even the dog's harness and lead glow in the dark. So I might be ordering some of those. I did have a look and somebody's selling them on Amazon. They're not cheap though. I can't remember how much they were, but they weren't like cheap. Well, not when I usually pay about £6 for a kilo of beads, so when you're paying like £3.50 for not so many, then yeah, not cheap. So I watched White Stitches, who I mentioned last week, her little Mayu hair. Go and have a look at her little Mayu hair. She's designed and knit a stuffy. It's a hair, it's got little Victorian Victorian booties on, little lace up booties. She's so sweet, so sweet. I could see a cute little child dragging that behind her. She's absolutely adorable. So yeah, I'd have a look at that. Just the usual suspects besides, really. I watched Turbo Knitter, Andre Sunet's Sort of a Knitter. Can't think what else off the top of my head. I really can't. Spent more time watching than I did knitting this week, which is not such a good thing. I watched some tutorials as well on the stacked increases and decreases, which I've not done before, for the Zanzibar scarf. I know that they're used in the foxpaw pattern as well, but yeah, so I had a bit of a nose at those, just to familiarise myself with them. But yeah, I think that is it. So please feel free to like and comment and subscribe if you'd like to get episodes up on your subscription-y page thing. I know I rely on that quite heavily for knowing when people have put things up. And yeah, please pop over to the Ravelry group, and I'd love to know about your Christmas projects, what you're making in general. And yeah, I'll make a thread about where you live in your local yarn shops. Let me know what it's like by you for yarn shops, if ever I'm anywhere near your neck of the woods, not that you do a vast amount of travelling, whether there's anywhere that's particularly worth checking out. It's good for other people to know as well, who may be out so far away from yourself. What your gripes and likes are about your local area when it comes to yarn and knitting. Do you have any knitting groups locally? That'd be fun to know. I'd like to join a knitting group, but we're going to be moving not hugely far. I think it's about 30 miles, something like, away, to be closer to friends. So I feel like at the moment there's not a huge amount of point in joining a local knitting group if I'm going to. It'll just be sad when I have to leave and move away, so I thought I would wait until we've moved, because hopefully that will be in the new year. So yeah, that is it, I think. So please have a good week, get in touch, and thank you all very, very much for taking the time to sit and watch me. It does mean a lot that people are actually watching and joining the Ravelry group and getting in touch. I'm so pleased, and everybody's making me feel so welcome. So yes, take care, have a lovely time, and I shall see you next week. Bye bye.